It's me. It's me you're looking for.
Can you just open with this?
Yep, I sure can.
Hey, I'm back, bitches. Halloween 2018. Woo!
Stay like this the whole time.
It's getting hot in here.
All right, you gotta take the mask off. I'm getting a chub.
I'm so hard right now, I can't get out of this.
You gotta lube your head.
I know, I should have oiled it up. Hey everyone, welcome to Straight Jacket Talk, where it's two guys, a girl, and a horror show. My name is Kevin, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts. First, it's a guy who doesn't like to get peanut butter on his penis. It's Nathan.
It's a big problem. It's a real pain in the ass. Got to wash my penis off the peanut butter all the time. So, yeah, really hate that.
Oh my God, it's miserable.
What the fuck?
And I'm joined by a girl who's the Clyde to my Bonnie. It's Jill.
I'm the Clyde. Wouldn't I be the Bonnie to your Clyde?
True.
Why am I Clyde? I don't want to be Clyde.
We do things a different way.
Yeah.
We're hip. We're cool.
I don't want to be Clyde.
Oh.
You want to be Bonnie?
Yeah.
All right. Then I'll be Clyde.
But Allison was Clyde.
Okay, fine. I'll be fucking Clyde.
You can get
You can be the
Allison.
Allison to my Cameron. How about that?
Okay.
We watched Halloween 2018. It's actually just referred to as Halloween, but I'm kind of making sure it's known we're not watching the original Halloween.
We'll get into that, though.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
This was written by Jeff Fradley, Danny McBride, and David Gordon Green. It was directed by David Gordon Green also. Now, this movie brought back Jamie Lee Curtis, who reprises her role as Laurie Strode. It ignores all the sequels. This is the direct sequel to the OG, the original, 1978. This movie also brought back John Carpenter as an executive producer, and he was in charge of the music and score. So, pretty cool.
You can tell.
Yes.
It goes so hard.
Yes, and I remember when it was announced, Jamie Lee Curtis was back. Okay, we had that in Halloween H2O. But John Carpenter back and for the music, that was a big get, in my opinion. Now, let's play the budget game. This movie had a budget of $10 million. Do you know how much it grossed at the box office? Nathan, what do you think?
I don't know. Gonna go 95 million.
All right. Jill?
I'm going to say 65 mil.
Oh, going lower. This may surprise you. Halloween 2018 grossed $259.9 million.
I thought I was going pretty high.
This movie killed it at the box office. See what I did there?
Like a slasher.
I'm on my game tonight. Currently, on Rotten Tomatoes, Halloween has a 79% critic score and a 72% audience score. So this is certified fresh. But what did we think of this movie? Before we get into our review, if you could please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and also hit the notification bell, because when we have a new video, you'll be the first to know. Isn't that right, Nathan?
Yes, it's a privilege.
You don't want to get that peanut butter anywhere. This was my pick for an episode. So the reason why I chose Halloween 2018 for us to review is because, in my opinion, this was probably one of the best, if not the best, Halloween sequels I had seen. I'm a huge Halloween fan, the original 1978 movie, and the series. I even like some of the bad ones, or quote-unquote bad ones. It had been so long, in my opinion, before a movie like this for the Halloween series had come out. And like we said, the opening, bringing John Carpenter back, having his influence, Jamie Lee Curtis back, and kind of telling the story from a different aspect after the original, I thought was huge. And I thought it actually did something cool because the main issue I had, and a lot of other people with the Halloween series, is once they start getting into more of the story, Laurie's Michael's sister, he's got a niece. I mean, Colt of Thorn, everything is just getting more and more chaotic and kind of confusing. So this, I think, brings everything back to basics of the first one, which I love and I think is key. Is this perfect for me? No. But it's one of those movies that I can watch this constantly and has become, in my ranking, my second favorite Halloween movie of all time.
That seems reasonable to me.
Yeah. What did you guys think of this? Jill, is this your first time watching Halloween 2018?
It's not my first time watching the 2018 Halloween. I'd seen it probably a couple of times before, and also Kills and Ends a couple of times as well. And like you, I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I like how they addressed all of the different like Halloween things through like the different movies. They talk about how the rumors started that Michael was Laurie's sister and all this stuff. And so like they dealt with that like pretty quickly. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, and sorry, a little drinky drink. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. She's like part of the Halloween experience for me. Kind of talked about this before on our previous Halloween 3 episode. Halloween was like one of my first horror movies, 1978. Me and my like girlfriends rented it at sleepovers, and we kept renting it in like each subsequent movie because we really loved it. And to me, like that whole classic Halloween vibe is like so nostalgic. You got John Carpenter doing the music, but also like intensifying it and taking that classic Halloween sound and making like some pure bangers. You've got like the callbacks and like different scenes, like Michael Myers like at the top of the stairs, trick-or-treating while people are getting killed. Babysitter scene I think is super important to Halloween, and I think they had a great babysitter scene, and I love that little kid.
Some other kind of babysitter, she'd be reading me a story. I wouldn't be up clipping my nasty ass toenails.
And I don't know, I just feel like this is it's more than competent. It takes the classic Halloween, keeps the story going forward. For me as well, my second favorite Halloween movie after the first Halloween movie. So yeah, I really like it. Nathan, how about you?
So this is like my third time seeing this movie, I think. The first time I saw it was very nostalgic because just like back in high school, Kevin once again forced it upon me.
Wait, we all watched it together, right?
Yeah, you, me, and another friend of ours all watched it together. Except you and our other friend were kind of drunk, so we barely even watched it. We were talking through the whole thing. But you had been saying for a long time, you got to see the new Halloween. It's actually good. It's actually good. And I was like, yeah, I'll get around to it. And then you finally came for a visit at one point and brought the Blu-ray with you. Just like old times, watching horror movies with friends and barely paying attention to them. But then I actually watched it again for real and realized this is a really, really good Halloween movie, which, considering how bad some of those sequels got, was quite a breath of fresh air. It was the first good one in a long while. I love how there's a bit of a role reversal between Laurie and Michael in spots. I love Laurie's character, although she does get a little too Sarah Connor at times.
Yeah.
It's fine, really, but it's hard not to make that connection. I like all the new characters, except I really didn't like the dad that much, mostly because of the peanut butter on my penis line.
Oh, man. I got peanut butter on my penis.
So I was like, why would you say that in front of your daughter? That's a joke you make amongst friends, not family, but... Okay. But yeah, I really like this sequel. I hate that it's called Halloween. But we will get into that later, I'm guessing.
Let's get into it right now, because I really thought this movie should have been called Halloween Returns.
Okay. You can call it basically anything you want other than Halloween. I will be honest with you. This makes me irrationally mad. It really pisses me off that the direct sequel to Halloween is called Halloween.
Yeah.
What movie do I watch next after I watch Halloween? Oh, you watch Halloween. It's the dumbest fucking thing in the history of movies.
To me, this had to be a money grab, right? Like, this seems like something that they were like, everyone's heard of Halloween, like the original.
Right.
We're going to get that here.
But Rob Zombie already remade it, 5 years prior or something?
Yeah, but the thing is, if this was a remake, I would be totally fine with it being called Halloween. But it's not a remake, it's a direct sequel. And now there's 3 movies called Halloween, and you have to separate them out by year, except for the Rob Zombie one, which you call Rob Zombie, or you don't talk about it at all, which is my strategy for dealing with the Rob Zombie one.
Oh my goodness. The slander.
I'm sorry.
The slander.
I want to ask something, because we've already kind of talked about some of the other Halloween movies. Have both of you seen Halloween H2O before?
Yeah.
It's been a long time, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember liking that movie? Because that is still considered one of the top Halloween movies. Yeah.
Yeah. I rented that one the most, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. It was modern when we were kids.
Younger.
So
yeah. I wanted to ask you, from that movie, right? Laurie Strode comes back in the franchise, and she's portraying this trauma survivor in that movie. In Halloween 2018, this movie, she's also portraying a trauma survivor. Which kind of role did you like her playing better? Because I think they are very separate and different from each other. Like, that one, she was more dealing with the psychological aspect. And not that she's not in this one too, but that was very much kept inside, and not letting the outside world know. Whereas this movie, she's crazy Laurie. Everybody knows what she is. She's got this house in the middle of nowhere. She's a gun nut, she's a survivalist. I'm just trying to think about, which did I prefer? Because, I think both of them have really good qualities to them. But to me, this role that she portrays, even though you were saying it's like Sarah Connor-esque, I go to that scene where she interrupts the dinner for Allison and how she's drinking the wine.
Hey, Mom.
That's mine.
I thought you quit drinking. Mom, what are you doing?
I saw him in the sheep.
Mom.
I wanted to kill him.
Okay, that's enough, Laurie.
I didn't know what to do.
And she's like, I saw him. And I mean, she's guzzling that freaking wine. I just thought that was a really realistic portrayal of someone who can't deal with stuff going on. What are your thoughts?
I mean, going back to H2O, I feel like the whole thing about that movie, it was very asylum based, and him escaping the asylum after everything. So you have that version of dealing with psychological issues, and like you said, a lot of that is seeing things and that playing into the horror they show. This one, I also thought it was very realistic, and that's one of the notes I have for a lot of things is how realistic this is and how it would actually probably play out in contemporary society. So I really like that about this movie, is that it is very practical, because when you think about the original Halloween, it's a little it's a little bit goofy, and I feel like this one doesn't really have much goofiness. It's more grittiness and leaning into the guns and the survivalism and all that stuff. But what I did like about that is that it was very empowering. Everyone thinks she's this crazy kooky old lady because of what happened to her. Everyone thinks that she's letting it ruin and control her life.
Let's talk about when the state came to take your daughter away. She was 12 years old.
They said you're an unfit mother. How long until you regain custody?
I didn't.
You know, and just like making her whole life and being about, you know, that thing that happened with Michael Myers, and that how that affects like other generations of her family, like her daughter and now her granddaughter. So I thought that was very interesting, and I like that whole dynamic. But like I said, it was very realistic but also empowering. You got her like making the trap and like revealing that the whole house is a trap, and she's not really like this weak, agoraphobic kind of person that they try to make her out to be. And I thought that was really clever. I like seeing her and how mean she is with her gun and stuff. And I don't know. I thought it was cool.
What did you think of her portrayal, Nathan, as a trauma survivor in this movie versus H2O? What did you prefer?
It's been a long, long time since I've seen H2O.
Yeah.
But I, to some extent, I think the Laurie from H2O is maybe more well adjusted. But I feel like the H2O Laurie was more realistic in her progression from Laurie from 1978. That being said, I think the Laurie in 2018 is more entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, the Laurie from H2O is very timid about a lot of things. I think she tries to like control her son's life, right?
Yeah.
Like she wants to keep him out of danger.
Yeah.
You're not going.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am, and with your full blessing. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because today is the day. I can feel it. Today is the day that you're going to realize that I'm 17 years old, and your overprotection and paranoia is inhibiting my growth process.
But she's doing so in a very timid way. And that's not nearly as fun and badass to watch as this Laurie toting around a gun and, recreating the end shot from 1978, except it's Laurie that's gone instead of Michael. I do think that the Laurie from H2O is more likely to be the result, but I enjoy watching the Laurie from 2018 better.
You just reminded me of something. I think her character is very, is it Carol in Walking Dead? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the lady with like the short blonde hair with the daughter. Yes. She's like very meek and innocent in like the beginning, and then after all that she goes through, she becomes like the same character, like very badass. Taking care of stuff herself. Yeah. So, just really reminded me of that.
I mean, if you think about it, right, this portrayal is everything that happened to her in 1978 changed everything for her, like her whole trajectory, and really
did
like
let it
messed
ruin
up her
the
life.
rest of her life. Yeah. I mean, there's no way around that she let what happened to her in 78 control the rest of her life. I mean, we're talking about 40 years later, and her entire life still revolves around Michael Myers. I understand why that's empowering at the end,
right?
But when you think about those 40 years in between, that doesn't seem empowering to me.
But this does have an arc that pays off for her because
oh, for sure.
She's prepared and ready, whereas the rest of the town is like, yeah, what are we going to do? Cancel Halloween?
We're going to have a fucking circus on our hands. But hey, what are we going to do? Cancel Halloween?
We also can't get that time back that she lost, like with her kid and her family. Yeah. So you see the sacrifice.
Everything that happened to her is so much more to her versus everybody else. Like there's that scene at the beginning, like you were saying, where Dave is talking with Vicky and Allison, and they're talking about how Laurie isn't Michael's sister. It was just something that was made up. I really enjoy this scene because I think it is needed exposition because of everything that we've seen in the other movies. This is kind of like the time cleanser a little bit. But what he says is so kind of important, and I think a true commentary about like, what did he do? Like he killed like a couple of teenagers. Like,
I mean, that is scary to have a bunch of your friends get butchered by some random crazy person.
Is it though? Because all things considered, there's a lot worse stuff that's happening today, and like, I mean, what, a couple people getting killed by one guy with a knife is not that big of a deal.
That's nothing to nowadays.
Talking about the the generational trauma almost that I mean, it was before COVID, so I guess you're not even thinking about that. But the way events have, you know, with school shootings and 9/11 and, you know, a couple of stabbings in a town doesn't seem that crazy to somebody who's that far away from the event.
But it's important too, because later on in the movie, when the bus crashes and they point out that Michael Myers is missing, Officer Hawkins is really the only one who's like, whoa, this one patient, Michael Myers, is missing. And the sheriff's like, like,
what do we?
No big deal.
I think Officer Hawkins probably wanted to cancel Halloween. Call me crazy.
Yes. I think he wanted.
Might have been a good idea.
Yeah. I gotta ask you another big question, because a lot of people who don't like some of the things in this movie, one of the things they don't like is the kind of comedic relief. You're saying, Jill, like the kid that Vicky babysits, you liked a lot. For some people, he rubs people the wrong way in this movie because it's supposed to be the quote unquote like scary, you know, horrible movie. And then you have this kid saying this funny shit.
Right. Well, just like going back to us talking about how realistic this is, to me, this was a very kind of funny, but realistic scene of what babysitting a little kid is like, you know, and it was warmer than a lot of babysitter scenes that you get normally in horror movies. Like they actually had kind of a little bond, and I just love that little kid. He's just like cutting his crusty toenails, like,
and they're giving each other shit the way friends give each other shit. And
yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I love that kid. I love the scene. My favorite scene is when you know, he comes downstairs because, you know, he saw Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit. He's like, someone's in the hallway. And Vicky's like, oh, it's nothing. And he's like, no, someone's in the hallway. He's like, and she's like, oh, I'll go check it out. And he's like, no, send Dave. Send Dave.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Come on. I got you. Let's check it out.
Send Dave first.
And Dave makes a crack about, he's like, oh, there's nothing up there, kid. And the kid just goes, shut up, Dave.
Ghosts and goblins, little buddy.
Shut up, Dave.
Yes. I love him. And then afterwards, when Vicky dies, right, the babysitter, he runs down. He's like, you're going to get killed, Dave.
You're going to get killed, Dave.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That, you know, that whole babysitting, actually, their whole dynamic, even Dave, I really enjoyed Dave because there's something realistic about how he was portrayed. And I really thought all the characters in this movie were done really well. Nathan, how about you? What about the comedy aspect? Do you think it's a little too much?
For the most part, no. There was some stuff that didn't land as far as jokes go. Like the peanut butter on my penis is never gonna
egregious, right?
It's like
see, I just thought he was some weird, quirky
but
dad.
Watching it, I just didn't find it funny. But I don't know. I like a lot of the almost Tarantino-esque conversations in between. You know, like the cops talking about the sandwiches.
You want a banh mi sandwich?
A what? What is that?
A banh mi sandwich.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
I love that about you, Francis. You're so predictable. You're like a PB&J everyday kind of guy.
There we go.
Oh my God.
I find very funny. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And
then
the kid talking to his dad about, but I want to dance. Well, we're going out hunting. Yeah, I love hunting with you, but I want to dance. You're interrupting my dance class. I liked a lot of that stuff. Again, it did remind me a bit of like, you know, you know what they call a quarter pounder in France?
Yeah.
They don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese?
Oh man, they got the metric system. They wouldn't know what the fuck a quarter pounder is.
And what do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's,
and that becomes like ingrained in culture, kind of.
yeah. So I liked most of that stuff. Like I said, a few jokes here and there didn't land, but the overall feeling, I think, of the comedy stuff, it's important to have a little bit of comedy in a movie like this too.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just constant grim dark and it becomes less fun.
I didn't think the comedy too was over the top. Like there's a couple of one-liners and you need it in a movie like this, and it wasn't done to be like, hey, we're doing a funny thing now. It seemed very in the moment of what they were talking about, other than maybe the peanut butter on the penis, but
that was weird.
But yeah, you know, it's not like super campy comedy. It's you know, there's no goddamn enchiladas.
Some damn enchiladas.
Oh, you gonna be all right?
Except again for the peanut butter. Maybe that's the reason that line didn't work for me, because it was just so out of nowhere and stupid. Because it's not even on his penis; it's on his pants. Like,
dude, we're gonna have a counter at the bottom of this. How many times we say peanut butter on the penis?
Maybe.
I think we're up to 10.
We might be.
Shifting focus a little bit, though. One of the other things that people have a problem with this movie that I've seen before is the atmosphere. They feel like the atmosphere is a little bit less than the original 1978 movie. I'm not so sure on that. Like, I think there is some great atmosphere to this movie. Obviously, the original is just head and shoulders for me above most movies I've seen. So I don't know if you can compare them like that. But I want to get your both takes on some of the atmosphere scenes in here. And especially for me, one of the biggest atmospheric scenes is the opening right away.
Oh,
what did you think of the opening scene?
I thought, like, right away, I was like, this isn't Halloween. Like, this isn't how a Halloween movie starts. But I liked the way they chose to, like, use that, following these two podcasters, I guess, into, you know, whatever place Michael Myers is held.
They're investigative journalists.
We're making a podcast, and
we're investigative journalists.
They're investigative journalists. But I thought it was cool to follow these random people finding out about, you know, the mystique of Michael Myers, which is, like, to me, a big part of a Halloween movie. Is that, you know, he's this, like, larger than life, like, evil character, and the fact that people are talking about, like, you know, how dangerous he is. It kind of gives, like, the same sort of, like, ominous tone as, like, Silence of the Lambs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really like that. And I also very much liked the stylistic choice of how they showed, like, the inmates at that center. Like, outdoors, and they're, like, chained to these big, like, weights, and it's, like, a checkered floor outside. Like, very aesthetic, like, very pleasing to the eye, and it looks very modern. And I was like, wow, this is a very different tone than, like, the 70s Halloween, which is just, like, this classic slasher. But they brought that afterwards, and that's why I think it works. I think they just gave it kind of like a fresh little spin. But yeah, I love the atmosphere. It's a little darker, I feel, than the original Halloween as well.
Yeah. I mean, I really love the opening as well. It's funny, in the Eraserhead episode we did, you mentioned this opening scene with like the clock ticking, the sound design stuff. And I had never really made a connection like that, but this whole opening would have fit perfectly into Twin Peaks season 3. It's very Lynch. The black and red floor, especially, you know, that could be in the Red Room in Twin Peaks. The way they have them chained up is very bizarre and weird and would never happen in the real world. There's one guy who's just holding an umbrella for some fucking reason. And it's like...
Looks like the Penguin.
Again, season 3 of Twin Peaks would have worked perfectly. And especially at the end when everybody just starts screaming. If there's anything David Lynch loves, it's unhinged screaming, like Firewalk with Me, the scene with Mike screaming at Leland in the cars. And you know, I always loved that scene. I never really picked up on the similarities to Lynch's work, but ever since you said that about the clock ticking and the sound design, I was like, oh yeah. The thing about people not thinking the atmosphere is as good as 78 is it's harder to establish an atmosphere when you're going at a modern movie pace, which this movie does. So, I mean, the people who are saying that are basically, I feel like, saying they missed the pace of the 70s movie. And if you're going to get a $10 million budget out of a producer, you're not going to make a movie that's at that pace anymore. So, like, I get it, but I also... I think the atmosphere and the pacing works really well, even though it's definitely different.
I think for me, like, you nailed it right on the head, man. Like, I think this is Halloween for a more modern audience. You're not going to get the same choices you got in 1978. You have to, like Jill said, like, do a fresh kind of coat of paint on things. And this movie has that, I think. That opening scene with the sound design just always stuck out in my head because it always put me off kilter and made me feel weird. There's like that indistinct chatter in the background, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? And all you hear is the clicking of the clock and the fan spinning. My emotions are all over the place, and I love that. It's like got me in right away. That scene where they're outside, it's such a different kind of scene. Like I can't say I've ever seen anything like that in movies.
It's very bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes no real world sense, but like, who cares? You know, it's like we're doing a thing to make you feel something.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
So.
I love there's no music, right? And the wind starts picking up. And the camera kind of focuses a little bit on his bag. And then when he takes out the mask, you get that sting of the music starting.
You feel it, don't you, Michael?
And it's like, you as the audience feel the power of that mask, along with the inmates, and even Michael kind of moves his head a little bit. Like, I thought it was such a cool scene. Then you go into the say something, and right into the opening music. Screaming. I just thought that was like perfectly done. And that's, I don't know, it scenes like that I do think make this kind of a modern Halloween twist. Like, we're not going to do everything we did with the original, but we're going to still make you feel creeped out. We're still going to make the tension there. It's just going to be done in a different way. I got to talk about the Michael getting out of a bus. Can I ask you something? Why are they transferring Michael Myers on the day before Halloween, right? Or was it Halloween?
It was the day before.
But
why do they keep transferring him?
They gotta do it. It's part of the lore now. We can't stray from tradition.
Yeah, it's a tradition. Just, you know. Because otherwise you don't have a Halloween movie, Kevin.
Yeah,
That's
it's part of the
fucking
Halloween
why.
movie.
I know.
So shut up and take it.
I wish they learned their lesson, though. Or do I? Because then we won't have these movies.
Right, exactly.
You said earlier about the scene where the kid's talking to his dad in the truck. And
the kid's name is Lumpy.
Lumpy, you stay here.
Lumpy. Can't be his real name, right?
No, his real name's Kevin, actually. I saw it on the wiki.
Oh my goodness.
But they call him Lumpy.
They don't call me Lumpy.
No, how did he get that
Not to your
nickname?
face.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm just kidding.
That hurt.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Speaking of atmosphere, though, this scene has so much atmosphere, doesn't it? Pulling up to the van all fucked up in the fog and inmates. Why would you get out of your truck when there's inmates? It looks like inmates walking around.
I mean, he's trying to help.
I know, but oh my God.
Wasn't smart. No.
No, I call the cops and then drive the other direction myself. But he was just trying to help.
Trying to be a good citizen and help out his fellow inmates, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, it seems like there's probably a lot of people hurt. So you might be thinking somebody needs first aid. And a lot of people do, but, you know.
Yeah. I mean, when that kid gets out, right, and he goes up to that one cop on the ground, he's just like,
run.
You know.
I'll go get my dad.
Run. Like, get out of here.
Dude, that kid got messed up with Michael Myers' bare hands.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
What's crazy
Brutal.
about it's the first on-screen kill of the movie, too, is a child.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
It's metal.
Yeah.
And do you know where this comes from? This is a John Carpenter staple.
Right.
He kills kids in his movies because he wants to let you know right away nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe.
He's not fucking around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This
He's
is some
letting you
serious
know.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this works very well in this movie because later on, there's a scene where a baby is crying. And
he
they
ignores
get
the baby, though.
But they get the audience because for a split second,
You go,
he pauses.
no. They're not gonna.
Right.
They're not. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that baby was toast.
Me too.
You thought he was going to kill a baby?
Oh,
I thought the
my
baby
God.
was dead. Like, I thought something happened to that baby for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Off
goodness.
screen.
Well, that baby doesn't have a mother anymore in that scene, but
That lady looked like a grandmother.
something real
Sorry.
funny happens during that bus scene where the kid gets onto the bus and Sartain goes, "Don't shoot."
Don't shoot.
And the kid immediately shoots him
Oh my God.
and then goes,
Yes.
fuck.
Okay. I also wrote a note about this being
Forgot
realistic.
about that.
Because I feel like this is something that would happen. Like, a kid would be
Yes.
super scared. He'd go out with a gun and he'd accidentally shoot someone and then run away scared as hell because he just killed someone.
Right.
And then you get fucking made into a pretzel by Michael Myers.
Yeah.
I love those scene too where Hawkins comes later and finds, I think it's the dad with his neck just like snapped backwards. Some of
Yeah,
those
that's-
scenes too were brutal. Like we didn't see them, but we saw the
Right.
destruction. There was another one in the gas station too, I think.
Yeah, the gas station one, his jaw is way further away from the rest of his head than it should be. On the counter there. I was actually surprised. I feel like I remember there being more on-screen kills in this movie, but a lot of them are actually off-screen, and then you see the aftermath.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
hide and seek with the bodies
Yeah.
that he puts around. That's like another like Halloween staple.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel.
Yeah. Setting up the bodies to be found in a horrific way is very Michael Myers. Yeah.
100%. And this brings back the original kind of Michael Myers feel too, because there's something like kind of trick or treatish about Michael Myers. Like he likes to have fun a little bit. The opening in the in the bathroom scene, right? Where Dana goes in and he comes in the bathroom, which I thought was kind of funny because he still checks every stall and then he like shakes the door and she's like, someone's in here. And he kind of just steps off to the side for a minute.
Excuse me, someone's in here.
As though he's going to leave her alone. Yeah.
Right. And then he just
like
drops the teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
that
right.
was great.
That was great. Yeah.
Because I thought they were pills first. And I was like, then you get closer because they were like kind of red, right? You get closer and you see that they're teeth. I love that whole sequence because you got your two podcasters. They suffer a horrific death.
And they deserve it.
It is.
What kind of asshole starts a
do.
podcast?
Yeah.
Right.
They do. And maybe we deserve
Assholes.
it as well. So, but they had a really brutal death and it was pretty like prolonged. And I thought that was crazy. But I also like the kind of commentary that it makes about like people who are podcasters or like content creators in today's day and age. Like it really adds a facet of technology, I guess, that we have. It makes it more modern. I kind of love that because it's also like very topical, like all the time about how we kind of glamorize true crime.
Yeah.
And the consequences of doing something like that. Like just recently, I don't know if you guys like saw this on TikTok, but this guy's name is like Wade Wilson, like literally the same name as Deadpool. Have you seen him? He's got like tattoos all over his face and stuff. He like murdered, I don't know, people and a bunch of stuff. And I remember like podcasters trying to get him on their podcast to see his side of the story. And it's like, do we need to see his side of the story? He murdered people. And we see that same like rhetoric in Halloween when they come to interview her. And they bring money and try to like bribe her into it. And we talk about the funny scene where they say they're podcasters and then she kind of says, no, we're investigative journalists. And I love that she says like, basically, there's nothing new to know, like nothing new to uncover. He killed like this many people.
There's nothing to learn. There are no new insights or discoveries. Michael Myers murdered 5 people.
And that's it. Like, you know, like leave it alone sort of deal.
Right.
And then they got that horrific death after that.
Because what they're doing is inherently exploitative. We're investigative journalists. Journalists don't pay for their interviews. Well, how about $3,000?
Right.
Like just immediately, who cares about our principles? We're not actually journalists. We're just a couple of assholes with a Zoom recorder trying to honestly like re-traumatize Laurie by making her talk about it with
they were like gaslighting her. Like, holy shit. Can I ask though, what was their end goal? They wanted to get Laurie Strode and Michael Myers together. Like, what was their end goal?
The reunion, you mean? Like,
that was Sartain's end goal, but
yeah,
I don't think they really had an end goal other than to create spectacle of their podcast to get listeners and money for themselves. I don't think there was any like search for truth or anything. They were just Geraldo Rivera.
That's what it's kind of like a lot of the times with like a lot of content creation or podcasts with true crime. Like that's how they treat it. It's like it's a form of entertainment. There's no respect for the actual people who have lived through like these horrific events. And there's nothing new to uncover for them. Like you said, they're just being traumatized, and they're still left at the end of the day with like all this trauma that is still swallowing up their lives.
But to the podcaster, everything is content. There was a controversy with a true crime podcaster not too long ago where the podcaster got through like a FOIA or something, the autopsy photos, and was like selling them on her Patreon.
It was such a horrible case, the murder of little Gannon Stout by his stepmother, evil stepmother. Filed a Freedom of Information Act request to get the photos from little Gannon's autopsy, put them on her Patreon account, so people had to pay, I don't know, maybe $3 or something to view that particular video.
Stop it.
On a case.
Jesus.
It was real gross. Yeah. So
do you think there's a chance that this guy Aaron had a hookup in the DA that let him use the mask?
Yeah, I mean, I guess possibly. Probably just paid money for it, you know.
It's weird that he has that mask.
Yeah.
It is weird.
It's never really explained how he got it, but
you know what, though?
fine.
That's okay, I think, at the end of the day, because realistically, how is Michael Myers going to be reunited with his mask? How would that happen? I mean, it would be so hard to create that storyline.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Plus, this is supposed to be based on that original mask. And, I mean, for us Halloween fanatics, the mask means a lot, and they've messed up the mask for years and years and years and years. And now, like, that's another reason why this might be my second favorite mask in this series, too.
I was going to say, yeah. How does this rank on your map? How do you feel about the mask?
I like it because it looks like a weathered version of the original, I think. And
did they settle their issues with William Shatner, the ones that caused the problem in the first place, or no?
No. So this mask is made by Christopher Nelson, who did the effects on all the new Halloween movies, Kills and Ends also. Christopher Nelson actually stars in this movie, too. He plays one of the cops that has the brownie.
Oh, I also love that scene. But the container's way too big for like the two little tiny brownies that are in there.
Oh, fresh brownie.
Okay.
Chocolatey homemade brownie. I made that myself.
That's like what a 5-year-old would eat if they could make their own lunch.
That's why he's a 5-year-old. Christopher Nelson designed this mask using a lot of the original mold and things like that, but it is different enough where they can't be sued,
Shatner
I guess.
Can't sue him, yeah.
You know, it's different. If you look at the original 78 mask and this mask, it's definitely different. But this mask is so believable that it was that mask that, I mean, I can't have enough praise for it because it works. And I think it works with an older Michael Myers, too. Like, it fits this older person now that's donning the mask.
For a 60-year-old man, he's really strong, huh?
Yeah, that's one of the things I like is that like they show that Michael is just a guy. Like, he's just a guy with like a hunger to murder people and do it viciously, like with his hands, and he's still scary. And I like that they don't show his face too much. And then when he dons the mask finally, he becomes like the true indomitable Michael Myers. And I think the weathered mask looks great.
Yeah,
it's darker.
It looks awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. The ironic thing, too, is once he dons the mask out of the trunk, the very next scene with him in it is him trick-or-treating in the mask.
Right.
And going down the street. And this is, I've said it on our other podcast. This is my favorite scene, this tracking shot in any Halloween movie. It's so good. So good. So scary. It is just great. You know, I know that there's cuts that they do. You can see the cuts between.
Yeah, if you look closely enough, you can see where they cheated. But that's fine, though.
We get the scene where he picks up the hammer, goes in that lady's house. These people don't lock their doors. Come on, lock your doors. They learn nothing.
They deserve this.
He walks in. This is a little bit of fan service. There was a similar scene from the original Halloween 2 where she's also wearing a robe and the curlers in her hair deal. And he walks in and takes the knife. This, though, he beats her in the head with a hammer, and then he takes the knife.
I mean, this is up there with all the best long shots, I think, in cinema. I mean, it reminded me a lot of some of the long shots in Children of Men as well, which is one of the movies with the, it's known for its long shots. It's one of the most famous things about it. But this long shot where it's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I like too how he keeps going. Like, he just opens the door, leaves it open because he doesn't give a fuck. Like, this is his trick-or-treating sort of deal.
Right.
Then he goes to he looks in the next house, right, and sees the girl on the phone. And this is kind of another Halloween 2 nod. What I found creepy about this is we're still on the window as he walks away. And then you can see as he's walking on the side of the house, his shadow as he's coming up from the back. And then he just stabs this girl, which was brutal. I know it was a CG effect, but it looks so good, in my opinion, because it's so quick. We see the doctor and his wife there, or they're dressed up as a doctor and a nurse, right?
Oh, from Kills. Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah.
Now they've said in Kills that their kid was not Julian. But in my opinion, like it seems like they're in the next house down. It would make sense for him to go into that house next, no?
And we see the nurse from Kills at the beginning of that long shot. Isn't he nowhere near where he started at the end of that long shot?
I mean, I'm just assuming he went house to house to house, and that third house is Julian's house, because then he ends up in the closet.
I don't know. I mean, if they say that Julian is not their kid, then I'm liable to trust him. So on that one, I don't know.
What did you think about the closet scene?
Oh, it's great. Michael Myers is so patient, man. Like, he lets her just check that whole damn room and lets her, like, tuck him into bed and shit before he doesn't decide to actually kill her until she discovers him, basically.
Yeah. It's also like a very, I sound like a broken record, but like a very Michael Myers thing to do is like to wait it out and be there the whole time, just like lurking.
Right.
And then finally make the move. And, you know, it's dark and you know he's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just hit all of like the Michael Myers notes. And they did it with like respect. And you can tell.
And so much of that scene is played so nonchalantly, which almost makes it scarier because you as the audience, you know that kid's not wrong. You know, if you're the babysitter, obviously you're going in there like, oh, the kid's fucking scared again. But you as the audience, you know that kid's not wrong this time. And it makes it scarier that they're just talking like there's nothing wrong.
I love how it's like a classic trope. Like somebody's in my closet. Oh, there's nobody in there.
Right.
And then this time it's like the boogeyman is in the closet.
Yeah.
And they bring back the nostalgia too, because when Officer Hawkins goes in the house later, he finds the ghost sheet over.
Yeah. That is a good callback.
If you're a fan of the original, you're almost thinking like, uh-oh, like he could be under here. This could be Michael playing his prank.
Yeah.
Which is a very cool thing, I think.
And then Dave got stuck to the wall with a knife, which is another callback.
I got a question here. This is something I've always wanted to know, and I haven't ever looked this up. Why did Dave get the 1031 tattoo on his arm?
It's like the date. He just got it just because it was Halloween and he was just doing something stupid.
But he said it was a special night.
Yeah, they were gonna fuck for the first time.
Okay, so in the meantime, you wanna make some popcorn and watch a spooky movie?
No.
All right, wait, check this out. You're gonna like this. I went and got this tattoo because tonight is the night. The one we'll remember for the rest of our lives.
You were so getting dry fucked tonight.
That's why you got the tattoo? That's so gross.
Yeah, it's
Get
not.
out. No way.
Yeah. No, that's what that's.
Oh, that is.
I mean, I guess I could be wrong, but that's the way I interpreted the lines.
I've always wanted to know this. I'm like, is he like proposing to her? Like, what's going on here?
No, it's a first.
They're in high school, dude.
You know, how did
love is love?
Yeah, they got to be seniors in high school, right? Because otherwise he can't get the tattoo. He's
Wait a minute, though. Here's my question to what you're saying, Nathan. She says she sees the tattoo and she goes, I'm going to dry fuck the shit out of you.
She doesn't say that after seeing the tattoo. She says that after he explains what the tattoo is all about. Listen, I can't remember the exact lines, but that's how I interpreted it. I could be totally wrong, I suppose, but I thought he made that obvious. But maybe I made that up in my head.
Him?
What?
Oh, maybe.
Is that what's happening? She's going to try fuck the shit out of him.
Oh, maybe. I like how Michael Myers, though, when he kills Dave and he's got the knife in him, he pulled down.
Yeah, you see his tattoo.
He
now
pulled
it's
it
his
down.
death day.
On
Dude, I want a
purpose.
tattoo when I die with the date on it. Like, that should become a thing.
Right.
I'm going to do it for you.
Thing.
I mean, I'm
What
not
do
going
you
to
mean?
kill you. I'm going to tattoo.
So you think I'm going to die before you? Rude.
Yeah. She's younger
I'm going to
than
live
you, Kevin.
forever. I'm a vampire.
I'm a woman. So
That's true. You're going to live forever. This scene also, before we get to Dave, has the original Michael Myers, Nick Castle, for his appearance back under the mask. Laurie's looking up at the house, and she looks over to the window, and he's in the mirror there.
Right.
That's Nick Castle wearing the mask.
Oh, cool.
I'm guessing he couldn't do the whole thing because he's kind of old now, right?
Yeah, and shorter, and not big
built.
and bulky.
That's so sad.
I don't know. I know. But it's cool. He also does the breathing, too. So it's like, this is the original kind of Michael Myers. He's breathing in the mask. So I thought that was cool. James Jude Courtney, who plays the Shape in this movie and the next couple, I thought did really good. You know, I know most people are like, well, he's walking around with a mask. But just the way he moves really sells me that this is the same Michael Myers from the original.
I agree.
I don't buy that it's easy to walk around in a mask as Michael Myers in a movie. I think there's a lot that goes into it because, I don't know, I feel like if you put me in that mask and had me walk around and filmed me, it would just be goofy. I'm serious.
Same though. Like he has a very Michael Myers swagger. It's kind of a lack of swagger.
Yeah.
But it's very believable. Like he's just fucking Michael Myers, dude.
Yeah.
We've been saying a lot of nice things because I think this movie is pretty great overall. My least favorite thing about this movie is Dr. Sartain.
I'm sorry. You can't try to skinwalk Loomis. You're not Loomis. You will never be Loomis.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that they make the statement, oh, he's the new Loomis or whatever.
Yeah, Laurie says that.
I'm Michael's doctor, Ranbir Sartain.
Oh, you're the new Loomis.
I think he did nail kind of a lot of like the Loomis like personality traits and everything. Like he is very much like him. But I was just like, man, it's so cheap. Like
this viewing, I actually changed my mind about Sartain a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like him now because I realized that he's not Loomis.
Yeah.
He's the anti-Loomis.
Don't shoot him.
Doctor, get back in the car!
You killed him. He's dead. Stand back. No.
I'm still gonna blow this motherfucker's brains out.
Get away. Leave my patient alone.
Get away from the body. Stand back.
I'm not gonna say it again. Step away from the suspect.
Yeah, in the end.
You know, he does well. In general, he doesn't want to kill Michael Myers. He wants to know what's going on with him. He wants to set Michael Myers free into the world and follow him around. And it feels like it fits the scene, or it fits the theme rather, of role reversal that this movie has versus the 1978 movie. I didn't like him the first couple of times I saw this movie, but something clicked for me this last time I saw it the night before last night. So
yeah,
I like Sartain now.
You know what? Now that I've watched it a few times, I have come around more to Dr. Sartain, but the scene that still I'm very against is the scene where Sartain turns on Officer Hawkins, right?
Yeah.
And he stabs him. And I don't mind this part per se, like, because you knew, I kind of think we all knew that Dr. Sartain's the one that made Michael escape from the boss, right?
Right.
So you kind of knew that, like, this dude's kind of evil. There was that kind of inkling.
I never thought about that, actually. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And that's what I think. Maybe Michael just escaped.
No, that makes total sense. I missed it.
Yeah.
Now I have to go back and see it.
It just seems like that's what happened to me. And then the problem, though, I have with this scene is not that he almost kills Officer Hawkins, but that he then dons Michael Myers' mask, which I don't think you needed to do. Do you?
Bad things happen when you put on the mask, man, potentially in this series. So I thought it was going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh?
I mean, I'm confused. Maybe you're right, though. Maybe it is like that, Matt, because like Logan said, he's the anti-Loomis. So like this guy is almost obsessed.
Logan's not
Michael,
here.
Sorry. I got like two names in my head. Like Nathan said, this guy is almost the anti-Loomis. So he has that obsession,
right?
Maybe to want to put the mask on, and because I think he says like, "Oh, this is what it feels like."
So this is what it feels like.
You know, he wants to live vicariously through Michael Myers.
Yeah, and that leads to one of my favorite scenes in the movie too, where Sartain puts Michael Myers into the back of the car with Allison Strode, and that shit was scary as hell. Because, you know, Michael Myers, like, he got hit by a car, so I can buy that he's knocked out in that moment. Usually I don't like when Michael Myers, like, gets knocked out and you can, like, move him around or whatever. But in this case, it made sense. And she's just in the back of the car with him. And it feels like an eternity. It's probably like a minute and a half, but you just feel her fear the entire time. And then and then she tricks Sartain, and she's a good character. She's a smart chick.
He spoke to me.
He spoke to you?
Yeah, when he murdered my friend, he saw me, and he spoke to me.
What did he say?
One word.
What?
Let me go, and I will tell you what he said.
Yeah, really do like her character.
Yeah, I like Allison a lot.
She picks up on what he says about.
She picks up on his obsession, knows how to manipulate him into getting out of the situation, which is pretty great. Well, then Michael fucking kicks the back of the seat and kills Sartain by just sheer brute force.
Brute force.
It is fucking great.
Dude, it's so gnarly when he steps on his fucking face and it just smashes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a pumpkin.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was bringing it back to Halloween 3.
Right.
For me.
That's so
the
good.
Pumpkin mask,
I like that.
Yeah.
But even Karen, you talk about manipulating Michael Myers, does the same thing where she pretends to call for her mom, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, just kidding, and then gets him.
Gotcha.
I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Gotcha.
But earlier you were talking about role reversal, and there's also like a lot of that going on here between Michael and Laurie. They're doing that kind of like lifelong thing where they're kind of tethered to one another and they'll always be connected for as long as they both live. And it's in the discourse of the movie a lot, which I kind of liked, where they talked about like how they have this like predator and prey relationship and they're always going to like be alive for each other.
Right.
Which I think is a part of like the whole premise of Laurie's character. Like she's just waiting for him to come to her trap. Yes. And I love her trap. I think, I don't know, it's super fun that she's going around like with the gun and like pulling up the grates or whatever. And
Home Alone
I love her
again.
like little hidden bunker. What'd you say?
It's Home Alone again.
Yes,
How many
exactly.
movies
It's
are
Home
based
Alone.
on Home Alone?
But it's Michael Myers. Yeah.
But it's great. Yeah.
It is a cool concept, and I do want to get your takes on the ending, but I really quick want to talk about Karen and Allison because like you said earlier, there is that generational trauma that's passed down, and I thought this movie did it really well with how it portrayed both Karen and Allison and how they're trying to, get on with their lives. Really, too. I love that
really
Karen
realistic to me too, because Karen is she holds a grudge against her mom for the way she was raised, and that makes perfect sense because that is not a reasonable way to raise a child. But her daughter just loves her grandma, and that makes sense too. So it's like neither of them are being unreasonable. But they're at loggerheads just because of the reality of the situation. There's a lot of stuff like that in a lot of families.
I thought that was something this movie did so well, though, is it really showed so many relationships and interworkings of people. Like it felt very realistic in the way people connect or disconnect from each other. There's Allison and Cameron. and Oscar in there too.
I feel bad.
What'd you think about Oscar?
I loved his kill. I think I wrote it down as my favorite kill. Because I was like, sorry. Spoiler alert. After what he did to my girl, Allison, I was like, you disgusting, you ugly. Like, I was mad. You disgusting man, boy.
What are you doing?
You deserve better, right?
What the fuck?
What, you're not with Cameron anymore.
That does not mean I want to be with you.
I thought you were sending me signals.
Definitely no signals.
I thought his kill. Yeah, he was a boy.
Yeah, so
and he got what was coming to him. It was a good kill. It was a nice, like, clean kill, and
the way he was displayed afterwards too.
And he was displayed afterwards, and you know, it's like outdoors at night, and then the music goes the hardest it goes in the entire movie in this scene.
Yeah.
This is my favorite song on maybe in Halloween, besides the, you know, original stuff, but I think this is called The Shape Hunts Allison.
That would make sense.
What, do you got it on vinyl over there?
I do have it on vinyl.
It's a banger. I was like, wow, this is great.
It's The Shape Hunts Allison. I bought it on vinyl because I love this fucking soundtrack. It's so really good. The complaint I have about this scene is I wanted it to last longer. I wanted more music. I wanted her running more in terror. I loved it. The thing that made the Oscar scene work too was the motion lights, which I thought was fucking creepy as hell.
Yeah. Where he's all drunk and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. whatever the name is.
Elrod." Which is another fan service thing.
Yeah.
And this movie had a ton of fan service.
Yeah. And then the lights go off and then they go back on again and Michael Myers is in a different place.
I'm sorry, man. I'll peace out of your hair, man. Thank you for just. Hey, where'd you go, man? You're acting like really sketchy right now. I don't. What's up?
That all worked so well.
And then Allison is like, "They're motion lights, dumbass," or something.
I felt bad for Oscar. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
Don't get me wrong. He was wrong to do what he did, and she was totally right to react the way she did. But I also kind of felt like he's an awkward teenager and he fucked up. And as long as
But he's in a Halloween movie.
Well, I mean, if he didn't die,
die.
He could learn from that. And fix
Nathan,
his behavior.
all those girls.
But instead he died, and that's fine too. Don't get me wrong.
All those girls were feeding him guacamole
in
and
a very
him
sexy way. Yeah.
They were feeding me guacamole in all these sexy ways.
Yeah, they're getting him chubbed out. That's what he said.
Yeah, getting him chubbed out.
I love that.
Obviously, you're meant to think that this dude's a creep.
Oh, yeah.
But I hate to say it. This is another realistic portrayal for me of I've seen teenage boys act like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and Cameron too, where you think he's like this good guy kind of.
I don't know. I held
weird.
that against Cameron all the way through Halloween Kills and then cheered when he died. So put her phone in the fucking punch, asshole.
Your fucking precious phone?
What the fuck?
You gonna get that? Or you want me to get it?
What's that, Punch? It didn't look like Punch.
I don't know exactly what it was. I thought it was Punch, but
it looked like cheese or.
When he did that, I was positive he was going to die in this movie, but they wait till the next one.
Yeah, he should have got his comeuppance.
Yeah, he should have got his in a better movie. This one.
We touched on it earlier. What did you guys think about the ending to this movie? Because originally the ending was completely different, and it did do some test screenings with this ending that was basically just Laurie and Michael duking it out in the front yard, and Michael getting mortally wounded and walking off and going into those creepy mannequins that were out in her yard and kind of breathing heavy and then kind of stop breathing and then end credits. Apparently, you can see some of this in the original trailer for Halloween 2018, but I guess it didn't do well with test screening audience, so they went with this other ending of the house being a trap.
It's not a cage, baby. It's a trap.
I like the house being a trap. I thought it was super fun. And I think the house looks super badass at the end when she's like lighting it up. I don't know, it's nostalgic. Like, you're burning down the house. That house stands for a lot in, you know, Halloween lore. It's like a symbol. And just like seeing that house in flames and the way they captured that, it looks so good. Like, it was so powerful. And, you know, when you have something as evil as Michael Myers, like, pure evil, what are you going to do with it to make sure it dies? You're going to cleanse it with fire.
Yeah.
And they burned that motherfucker down.
I agree 100% with everything you just said. I feel like with the stopping of the breathing, that I feel like that's less dramatic, you know? I don't feel like that works as well as fire for all the reasons Jill just said.
Yeah. I used to watch Halloween 1978 into Halloween 2 1981. Years ago when they had VHSs, on the tape trading market, I bought this complete version of Halloween, which was Halloween 1 into Halloween 2. They edited it together so it just streamlined perfectly in there. Now, I really enjoy watching Halloween 1978 into this movie, Halloween 2018. And especially for the ending, because I think the ending is like this big crescendo type of moment. And you talk so much about the role reversals. Well, here's like the perfect role reversal. Michael's no longer the hunter. He's the hunted.
Yeah.
You know, you have those scenes where she's going room to room with the gun. You have this scene where she's going into the closet looking for him. Again, Michael Myers, being Michael Myers, shoved Ray in there. That's something he did in the original. I really like, too, real quick, where the cop car pulls up and Ray goes out there and he opens it. And there was a head that was turned into a jack-o'-lantern.
Terrifier.
Anyway, sorry. How did Michael Myers manage to drive the car and then get out of the car and then do that whole display in like the 10 seconds?
Dude, he's like Martha Stewart.
Yeah, but he had like 10 seconds to do it between when Ray noticed the car and went outside.
I mean, what are we, to believe that this is some sort of magic xylophone or something? Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Listen,
I'm just saying, it's fine. It's
I
fine.
hear you. If this was in a violent nature, we would know that how that happened.
Yeah. Anyway.
But I love that scene though where she's hunting him down. Finally he comes out. They have that encounter. She falls off the balcony this time. He goes to look and she's not there. I love that like role reversal like you talked about. Even earlier, just to mention real quick, when Allison is in the school, she looks outside the window and it's Laurie.
I didn't pick up on that. That is totally true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
I love that.
Just as a sidebar, I think we talked about fan service. I think this movie does fan service perfectly because they use fan service. They use it to know what you're already like kind of pre-trained for with the Halloween movies.
But they
and
change
they use it against you.
And twist it and make it their own. It's not like we just showed you the thing from the earlier movie, like our movie. Now that we did that, you know, they're not doing that. Right. I agree with that entirely.
And then the perfect crescendo moment, it's the one Jill touched on earlier, where Karen, which I love, she's wearing her Christmas sweater because she fucking hates Halloween. She sees her gun and she's like, picks it up. I can't do this. I can't do this. And then he appears. She's like, gotcha. Bam.
It's so good.
Perfect.
It's so good.
And I thought it was great.
I love Karen.
When they set him up for it. Yeah. Yeah, it was such a... And you know, he does sit up and there's one last scene and it's all the Strode women fighting together against this force that's taken over all their lives, which I thought
Love
was
to see it.
perfect. Yeah. Perfect way to end.
Agreed.
I mean, I don't know. The 1-2 punch, I love it. I have a big question maybe to end this review. Do you prefer the story that Halloween 2018 goes with of Michael and Laurie not being related? Or do you like from the original that they were brother and sister? Well, it's really introduced in Halloween 2.
I personally like the fact that they're related because that's what I kind of grew up on. You know what I mean? Them being like brother and sister. And so it got real confusing for me throughout this whole freaking like series. And now it's like, okay, that's not real. So, but you know, it's whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. But like in my head, the way I think of it is they're brother and sister. Maybe I'm like an anomaly for that, but
the amount of problems that caused after Halloween 2. Part of what made Michael Myers so scary in that first movie is that he doesn't have a motive. And in 2, you immediately gave him a motive. And while I like Halloween 2, I think it actually ends up taking away from the character of Michael Myers by doing that. Just like in Halloween Kills when they gave him a motive and it ruined his character.
I think it's because I was a kid when I watched that. And in my like little kid brain, I think it's really scary that like your sibling could kill you.
Yeah.
So for some reason, I think it's just like stuck with me. But yeah.
Yeah, I always wonder people's opinions because I think they are split on that idea because we did grow up with that storyline of Michael and Laurie being brother and sister. You know, what you're saying makes sense about that being scary too. You know, I always liked like the no motive kind of thing, or maybe not knowing the motive too, because that seems scary as well. Because I like this in the sense that his idea is to just do what he did in that tracking shot, going house to house, killing people, creating chaos. Like, that scares the shit out of me. And I like too how they did refer, I think Officer Hawkins did earlier in the movie, to the original as the babysitter murders, which was going to be the original title of Halloween. Because it was supposed to be just this random babysitter killing. Like they had to do earlier, they had to expand out the story.
I will say Michael Myers wanting to kill his family members is a much better motive, if you're going to give him a motive, than him wanting to stare out of his sister's window for some fucking reason, like in Halloween Kills. I'm sorry. I just had to get another jab at that fucking movie in there.
Halloween Kills is the one that follows this one. I almost think we should cover it just to hear Spicy Nathan.
Now he's turning us into monsters.
Oh boy, I would get spicy. I really don't like that movie at all.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
As Laurie Strode is walking up to the house where the babysitter was, there's some children trick-or-treaters, and she's telling them to get out of here. And I just found it hilarious that she just keeps waving the gun at all of them, just pointing the gun at the children. For some reason that amused me.
Dude.
Trigger and muzzle discipline not on display at all.
I thought Laurie really became more of the Loomis in this movie. Especially with some of her unhinged moments.
Yeah, she really, like, if Sartain is the anti-Loomis, I think. But Laurie does become a little bit of Loomis. And actually, there's a really good scene where Loomis is still ranting about Michael Myers from beyond the grave.
My suggestion is termination. Death. It's the only solution for Michael. There's nothing to be gained from keeping evil alive.
On that tape.
That
voice is really close to his
really
voice.
Close.
Dude.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's
eerie, man.
Yeah. And it kind of, it's kind of nostalgic to hear him say more stuff, even if it's not really him, because you know that Donald Pleasance is dead. But I did think something I didn't like about this movie was Karen and Laurie sort of hashing out Karen's childhood a little bit in the middle of the action.
I was wrong to raise you the way I did, but at least I can protect you. Nothing will happen to you.
I felt like that, like a couple of sentences isn't enough for that relationship to be in any way healed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you should have found some time in the film to actually have them have a little bit of a heart-to-heart with an actual apology from Laurie for her childhood strife.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
I think, though, I chalked it up to, again, like a realistic moment of we're probably going to die here, or there's a chance we could die here.
Yeah.
Like,
Say a
let's
few
just get it out.
sentences. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
Because, too, you know, in Laurie's mind, I think she thinks she was right.
She's got to still think. Well, I mean, she wasn't right when she was doing it, but it turns out she was right in that Michael Myers. You know, it was by chance. You know, you can't say in retro. You know, hindsight is 20/20, right? But
right. It's time for quote or kill. My favorite quote in this is Karen's quote of "I can't do it. I can't do it. Gotcha." Bam. I just love that scene. I think it works so well because the audience, I think, was played into this idea that, like, holy shit, she can't do it.
I bought it. If I was trying to kill Karen, she would have got me too. Yeah. You know.
I also have a kill, and my kill is just that whole tracking shot, that one long shot, because it's the best scene I've seen.
Yeah, it's really good.
So fucking good. I do love, did you guys catch, he bumps into those kids that are wearing Halloween 3 Shamrock masks.
I didn't catch that Easter egg.
You didn't see that?
I will have to go back and take a look.
It's so cool. You know, it's fan service, but in this, though, it's not taking away from the movie because it makes sense. They're wearing silver Shamrock masks.
Yeah.
It's the same universe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just don't watch the TV. Right?
Right.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Jill, how about you?
My favorite quote is, "Their beautiful bodies got me all chubbed out, Allison."
Their beautiful bodies got me all chubbed out, Allison.
From Oscar before he died, because
oh my God,
I thought that was funny. But for realsies, I like the shift when we find out that the house is actually a trap for Michael Myers. And she says, "I know you thought this was my cage."
I know you thought this was my cage.
And I like that she's been waiting for this moment, and it just sets it off, and it's nice. I don't know. Nathan.
My favorite line is from Officer Hawkins after Laurie says she's been praying for Michael Myers to escape so that she can kill him.
I pray every night that he would escape.
What the hell do you do that for?
So I can kill him.
Well, that was a dumb thing to pray for.
He goes, that was a dumb thing to pray for. And I like that line because I totally agree. The moment she said it, I was like, that's stupid. You should be praying for him to stay the fuck where he is.
Right.
Like that does, he doesn't have to escape to die. He can just die of old age, it'll be fine. It does show a little bit of that the way Laurie has lived her life is unreasonable, even if it did lead her to be prepared for this night. And then my favorite kill is actually a kill that happens off screen. I like the way that Michael Myers set up those two cops in that car. I was just complaining about the realism of that like 10 minutes ago, but I don't actually care. I don't actually care. It's just something I noticed. But the head being a jack-o'-lantern is so cool and so classic, and it's in the guy's lap.
For you. I'm sorry.
No, that was fine. It's the rest of the movie I don't like. I shouldn't be saying this, though. I'm going to have to bleep out a whole bunch of things I said about because I can't spoil my opinion on the Mouths of Madness.
It's time for our final rating. We're going to rate this movie from 1 to 5 stars. 5 is Michael Myers is back in a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
One is Oscar with his little lip chap crusties.
Yeah.
This movie for me is no surprise. It's a 5-star banger. The little stuff that I don't like is very nitpicky to me at this point. It's like kind of looking for that needle in a haystack just to say I don't like something. Like, this movie works. It's my second favorite to Halloween 1978. Like I said, I watch them back to back. I really enjoy this movie. Like, this is a movie I could watch. This is my comfort movie. I could watch this one over and over again. I don't know. It's a good watch. It's fun. The pacing is right. I think it is scary. I think they have enough atmosphere in this to make me believe that this is a Halloween movie. I think Michael Myers is believable, that this is the same Michael Myers from 1978. I think the characters are so good. Like I said, there's so many just interesting relationships, and it's how it's all playing out on screen, I think was perfect. The ending is perfect. I think it gets the audience. We're all in on this too. Like, this is a trap almost for the audience as well. Like, how are they going to get out of this?
Right.
Bam. And I think it works. Jill, how about you?
One of my favorite like subgenres of horror is like the good for her trope kind of horror, the good for her kind of movie. Mm-hmm. I'm going to dub this Halloween movie as the good for her version of Halloween for Laurie Strode, because it's very much, she's been tortured for all these years because of Michael Myers. They are like tethered, like I said. And this is like, she kind of breaks that tether. It's like her good for her moment, and the house is burning down. It looks really good. So because of that, and also the fact that the original Halloween movie is a 5 stars for me, and like one of my favorite horror movies, nothing could ever live up to that for me. So it's not going to be 5 stars. So I'm going to give it 4 stars just because it's not the original Halloween. I think they did a very good job tweaking it and like making it modern. Still not Halloween. So yeah, 4 stars. Nathan, how do you rate it?
I'm going 4 stars as well. I'm not really a huge slasher fan, but this one I like a lot. And that's saying a lot, because most of the slashers that I like are like the classic, the big ones. Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my favorite movies. But I find this one compelling from beginning to end. I love all the characters. One of the things I hate about most slashers is you spend a lot of time just waiting for a kill to happen, because nothing between the kills is in any way compelling. But this movie, it's not like that. Like, yes, the kills are they're the draw, they're the point, because it is still a slasher. But I enjoy watching these characters, and the family drama is compelling. So that's why I give this one 4 stars. I guess the reason I'm not going 5 stars is probably the same as you, Jill. It's not the original Halloween. It's just, it's not on that echelon for me. Mm-hmm. It's not up there with Halloween and the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's really good. It should replace Halloween 2 and that entire storyline, if you ask me. That way you don't, 4's fine, but you don't get 5 or 6 if you just replace Halloween 2 with Halloween 2018, which should have been called Halloween 2.
I love the little bow you put on it.
Just a little jab at the end.
Yeah.
Coming around full circle.
I want to say, for me, like, Halloween 1978 would probably get like 6 stars.
I mean, I get it. It's so good. It's so fucking good.
We want to let you all know what we've been up to before we end our review. And for me, I had a crazy, crazy week. I'll start off with, me and Nathan can kind of tag team this. We went to Pearl Jam last night in Fenway Park, which was pretty awesome. I mean, it was a night.
It was a night, yeah. I mean, Pearl Jam's a great band. I haven't really been listening to much in the past few years. I kind of missed the last 4 albums. So they played a few songs I didn't know, but I still had a great time there. It's been a long time since I have been to a full-on stadium show,
Yeah.
And there's nothing quite like 30,000 people all going nuts at the same time.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Just 30,000 people screaming, "I'm still alive." Like, holy shit.
And in Fenway.
Fenway
is one of my favorite places in the entire world. Just a church of baseball. Eddie Vedder wearing a David Ortiz jersey. Awesome.
So good. They went through 29 songs. 29.
Christ.
I saw that set list.
Whew.
It was insane.
We brought my son too, Logan, and it was his first Pearl Jam concert. He absolutely loved it. He's been going through the set list and listening to the songs he didn't know because it overtook him, and the songs he did know, they played his favorite. They played Black, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Elderly Woman. We were all singing. It was like a giant sing along. So I apologize for my voice.
Everybody's singing along to every single song, including the deep cuts and fan favorite songs that never even ended up on albums, much less on the radio. They're still singing along, whole crowd.
Listen, if you get a chance to check out Pearl Jam, do it. It's worth it. It's worth the money. This past weekend too, real quick, I went to the Silver Scream Con hosted by Ice Nine Kills. And we got to meet a couple cool horror celebrities. The big one I met. Well, first off, I met James Jude Courtney, who plays Michael Myers, The Shape, in this movie, Halloween 2018. But he also plays him in Kills and Ends. Even though I'm not a huge Kills fan, this is one of my favorite scenes from Kills, where he walks out of the burning building, and I thought it was pretty iconic. So I had him sign it. We met him. He's a really, really cool dude. He talked to us for a couple minutes, and we told him, we had a podcast and stuff, and we were investigative journalists, and he was like, whoa. He was friendly. He hugged us and stuff like that. And he was a great guy.
This is so cute. I love show and tell.
Hang on. Sorry. I know we're running way late.
I'm not worried about it.
But one of my top bucket list items was meeting Nick Castle, who plays the original Michael Myers, the original Shape from Halloween 1978. Halloween 1978 is my favorite movie, not just horror. So it was so cool to meet him. We actually got a picture of us. That's me, Dan, and Logan from the Mouths of Madness podcast with Nick Castle, the original Shape. But which is cool is it's also with the original car from the movie as well that Michael Myers steals from Dr. Loomis and Marion Chambers.
And everybody complains about how he shouldn't be able to drive.
Nathan, if you're a true fan, you know in number 6 that they explain it.
Such complaints are silly to me. I only bring it up because it's funny.
I know. It's that's when you start getting I see it all the time. People are nitpicky. It's not a perfect movie, but who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, we met Nick Castle, PJ Souls was there, who played Linda. Bob was there from the original Halloween, so it was so cool. We met David Arquette. He was pretty cool. He was like a celebrity in person. When you think of celebrity movie star, he's a fucking movie star.
Yeah. He's not just a horror guy. He's not just, he's been in a bunch of stuff. It's not just Scream.
We met Jamie Kennedy from Scream. We met the original Ghostface. Danielle Harris from Halloween 4, and she was in the Rob Zombie ones, which was awesome. I gotta say, the Terrifier people had so many fans there to go to see them. It's crazy. Terrifier's taken over. I can see it. It's really it's a phenomenon inside the horror community, and it's cool to see. Even if I'm not a huge fan of the movies, I think it's cool because it reminds me of when I was younger and you would see people dressed up as Freddy all the time.
Right.
And now everyone's dressed up as Art and the Paleface girl and Sienna. It's cool to see. I think it's awesome for horror, and it was such a fun time. They do a fourth one, you guys. We gotta all go because it's really a cool event in Worcester.
Worcester.
All right, Jill, how about you? What have you been up to?
The most recent thing I watched was I saw Speak No Evil in the theater over the weekend. I had not seen the original. I'm actually going to watch that like tonight, like after we record this, because we're recording an episode on It Slays, Now Slaying, about that. I really liked it, but like I said, I haven't seen the original. Apparently people who have seen the original are kind of disappointed in this one being like the same but worse. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Maybe I'll come back and talk about the original once I watch it.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, if you're looking for a movie to go see in the theater right now, besides Beetlejuice, I feel like, I don't know, it's a fun one to go see. Apart from that, I'll just talk about this book that I'm reading right now. It's called Guillotine by Delilah S. Dawson. I read a book by her kind of recently. I think I showed it on the show. It was called Bloom. And I said it was like the female sapphic Hannibal. This one is kind of like The Menu meets like Saw meets like Agatha Christie.
Whoa.
That's a lot of stuff to
interesting.
meet.
Yeah,
that sounds interesting.
I don't know how The Menu meets
very,
anything, to be honest with you. Go on. I'm sorry.
Right. Well, it's like very like Eat the Rich.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And this girl goes to an island with like this rich guy that she pretends to be with so she can get
Okay, I see what you're
a
saying.
connection for like a job that she wants. But anyways, she goes there and eventually the servants like kind of rise up, and it's kind of also like most dangerous game. They're letting the rich people like kind of get a head start before they like kill them all. So that's where it's like The Menu.
I see.
That's where it's like Saw. That's where it's like Agatha Christie, because it's very like you're stuck on this island,
Right.
and you're all gonna die one by one. I love the way she writes. I'll read anything this woman writes. And I know she writes like Star Wars books as well. That's like another thing she does, which I think is like interesting. But I don't know. I really like her horror. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. So apart from Pearl Jam, Nathan, what have you been up to?
James Earl Jones died recently, which made me kind of sad. He's been in a lot of movies that I really love. So I rewatched Field of Dreams not too long ago.
Banger.
Yeah, which is just an incredible movie about, the healing power of baseball, which it sounds corny because it is. And James Earl Jones is great in that movie. And I just love every moment of that movie. I think the best thing about Field of Dreams is the ghost shows up and everybody just goes with it. Nobody's confused. It's just amazing. Nobody questions. Like, he's hearing voices that are telling him to build this baseball field. And his wife is like, you're telling me that if you build this baseball field, a dead baseball player will come back and play baseball with you? And he's like, yes. And she's like, okay, let's do it.
So it's Pet Cemetery for baseball players?
Yes. But the baseball players don't eat anybody.
Okay. All right.
It's great. It's also, about people's relationships with their fathers. And, it doesn't have to be baseball, but baseball is the sport that is used for this. About reconciling things that you should have reconciled before people died and stuff like that. And like I said, it's extremely corny, but there's a reason it's a fucking classic. It is still just a great movie. I assume you've heard of this one, right, Jill? No?
Are you joking?
Oh my God.
Do I look like someone
who had heard
who's
of
gonna
this
watch
movie at least?
Baseball?
Sorry. I knew you hadn't heard of Good Will Hunting, and I was like, but she's got to at least have heard of Field of Dreams, right?
No, man, because in my country, in my motherland, we watch movies about
hockey,
primates playing hockey.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So.
More of a Mighty Ducks person then.
Ooh, Mighty Ducks is a banger. Banger.
I also watched The Boy and the Heron. It's Hayao Miyazaki's last movie, Studio Ghibli. It's a really everything you expect from Studio Ghibli in terms of its animation. It looks beautiful. And it's got a very feeling of like a Spirited Away sort of deal where there's a lot of nightmare fuel in there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I expected it to be like peaceful or something. It looks peaceful.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was sort of expecting something along the lines of like The Wind Rises or even My Neighbor Totoro. But it's not. It's very Spirited Away. But even more awesome. Nightmare. It's rated PG-13, which I was surprised to see that when I opened it up on Max, because when a Ghibli movie is rated PG-13, that means it's not for children. You know, like Princess Mononoke has actual beheadings in it, and The Wind Rises is not meant for children at all. I don't know. It's gorgeous. I don't think it's as good as like Spirited Away, but it's up there. It's really a great Hayao Miyazaki movie. I don't want to talk too much about what it's about because I don't know. I feel like you should go in almost as blind as I went in. I almost feel like I did a disservice by saying that there's nightmare fuel in it. To be honest with you.
No, because that actually intrigued me to watch it more.
Yeah,
like put it higher on my list.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And Robert Pattinson plays the Heron. And Willem Dafoe's in it. Who else? Florence Pugh has a voice in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Kevin's like, yes, I will be watching this.
Except she's a voice actor, though, in this movie. You don't see her.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Field of Dreams and The Boy and the Heron.
I had to pop in The Sandlot just to see a little James Earl before.
Yeah, that's another great one. I'd have to watch The Lion King.
Oh, that reminds me. Little Giants. We saw Devin Sawa at Silver Scream Con, who plays Junior in Little Giants. Mm-hmm. He also plays the human Casper.
Oh, you should have started with that.
He's also
Human
in the new Chucky show.
Human Casper is the crush of every little girl, like adolescent girl who's watched that movie.
That makes sense.
I told him that.
Actually, Christina Ricci is like the crush of every boy who watched that movie during that time. So there's crushes going on there.
Okay. Yeah.
He was the nicest dude ever. And we talked about Idle Hands, which is one of my favorites from him from the 90s. So
man, I watched
he thought that was super cool.
Yeah. I watched that movie back in high school at some point, and I remember it being just fucking bizarre, but I don't remember anything that actually happened.
It's bizarre, but it's cool. Maybe we'll review it here. That does it for our review of Halloween 2018. We'll be back soon with another review. And we're going to be doing The Shining next. But until then, can I keep you? No! Back to the padded room with you.